11:02. Thank you everyone to be here with us. I don't know how many attendees I have right now. Let's do the following, because I normally do the following. Let's give like a 1 extra minutes, and then also I can just span over here this. And for everyone who is listening to me right now, could you guys, anyone, can just send me like a yes, you can see my screen and everything, just to make sure that you are watching my screen, but also listening what I'm saying right now. Whatever you can do, like thumbs up or whatever in the chat. I really appreciate just to double check that you guys are listening whatever I'm saying right now. Perfect, Andrew. Thank you so much. So guys, just let me just wait a little bit just to have a little bit more attendees. Hopefully you like it. Just to make sure, I'm gonna start presenting myself, in a bit. But I know sometimes take a little bit of time. The other people just to start appearing in the webinar. So also gonna just turn this thing over here. Let's see, call to action. Currently, we have more than 85 affiliates, not just in South Korea, but along the whole world, with 380 networks around the whole world, including manufacturing, marketing departments, sales company, etc. So we are one of the biggest companies in Korea, which is something very, very proud to say right now. And Hanwha Techwin is the division that is just in charge of the part related to video products. Currently, most likely focus on CCTV, but if I mention that we are also doing aerospace and mechatronics, chemicals and materials, solar energy, financial, construction, leisure and lifestyle, you can see that the plan with Hanwha about the video solution goes further CCTV, right? So that's the reason why we are part of this huge conglomerate. And as I mentioned, just the Hanwha Techwin or Hanwha Techwin, worldwide, we have more than 2,000 employees spreading the whole world. And one important thing right now, specifically here in North America, is we do manufacture in South Korea and Vietnam, which basically make us NDAA compliance. So we don't have any part, or we are moving forward to not have any part from any Chinese manufacturer for the importation part. So this part, this stuff is very important for you guys, and depends of every country if you are basically enforcing or not the NDAA type of assurance that we are having over here in the US. Okay, but let's start, because yes, besides the brands and the words that we have and the old transition that we have since we start in the video security area, let's just focus in banking, because I have 60 minutes and just have 52 minutes left to finish my presentation. So let's focus in banking. And as you see, well, banking is obviously one of those verticals that I have a lot of challenges, that every vertical have their bells and whistles and different approaches depending of the brand that you are partnering with. And today I'm going to start talking a little bit about what are the challenges that we foresee and how we tackle those challenges. Okay, so let's start a little bit about what we see about the banking market. What are the trends that we have? Well, as I mentioned before, a lot of challenges, and the first one that I think is kind of natural for banking is the cybersecurity. And Latin America, mainly, still the banking market is very, let's say, a very open place to continue developing in terms of video security. because for several reasons, and one of the main ones that at least that we foresee is the cybersecurity part, because obviously, because the type of transactions that banks are handling every day, millions of thousands of transactions, that implies a lot of money. A lot of people are still hesitating to migrate their current, let's say, traditional CCTV park based on analog components to any IP base. So basically, they are using cameras just to basically watch videos, but they are missing the other beautiful part that IP can give us. And you guys, as integrator, as a distributors, basically have a good opportunity to be that challenging factor, and that transformation factor that helps banks to be more comfortable in terms of video. And we do foresee the cybersecurity as one of the main topics to address. And that's the reason why, for example, and you will see later, one of the main concerns and the main feature that we are launching in the WiseNet 7 arena is the increase of cybersecurity since forever. But obviously, for every iteration, we have better and better approaches in terms of cybersecurity. So that's one of the trends that is still valid, how to combine cybersecurity to IP-based solutions like video. But also how to use, as much as you migrate to IP, how to use that new information that you are having right now to make the business more dynamic. And here's when I talk about customer servers and digital business. So not just CCTV as, again, watching video, but giving added value. Basically right now, and we are in the perfect time where not just analytics, but AI analytics are basically hot right now. And we as Hanwha, we're moving very fast to offer in our portfolio all the artificial intelligence-based analytics that can be very useful for banking, because I will tell you later, but because the demographic information that you can grab from the camera itself, which means you don't have to be an expert in IT, and you don't have to invest too much in server, basically using cameras and a little bit of I don't want to say the latest VMS, but a good VMS. This combination can give you the information that you need in order to be on top of the new trends of the banking part. Okay, just let me go back just in case if I'm gonna share this presentation, but every icon that you see here is clickable, as I don't know if you can see it. Okay, and here, for example, there's an article that is in Spanish, but you can translate it easily in Google Translator about the trends on video banking. Actually, I really enforce that you guys go and share. This is also another This is basically the presentation that you are seeing over here in a different format in video if you want to share it. And here, well, there's more videos and more information that you can basically play with it when you get this presentation. Okay. So let's divide the banking part like in the specific areas in the bank. And one of the specific areas that obviously have every bank is the entrance and exit part. Obviously, where you have your customer entering and you have like the waiting area, the lobby area. And as any lobby area, one of the main challenges that you are going to face there is wide dynamic range, a strong backlight. And I remember basically now it's more than 10, 12 years ago, we used to have cameras like the normal cameras and the cameras with wide dynamic range. In that moment, I remember the normal wide dynamic range was 60 dBs. Right now, we are talking about 150 dBs. And what is that used for? Basically, to see clearly against any backlight, hard, extreme backlight condition. And as I mentioned before, the reason why we need to see like in the best way possible in any situation that we cannot control in the video is because if you apply, for instance, the analytics that I was mentioned before, the AI analytics, basically those things basically works like the human eye. And if you cannot see clearly an image, it's the same in the camera. If the camera cannot see clearly in an image, cannot do any algorithm that they have in order to do the, as I mentioned before, the demographic part, to see, well, this is a male, this is a female, this is a person who has a bag on his hand, or right now with the COVID situation, this is a person that is not wearing a mask, so basically cannot stay here in the lobby area. So those extra information based on artificial intelligence is something that we can offer right now. But one of the main factors that we can do that algorithm is that the camera is responsive enough, that the raw information, the raw data that we need is a good, high quality image, no matter the situation. In this case, a strong backlight. And again, if you click it over here, well, you can go directly to our page and see a little bit about products and explanation in the bottom about wide dynamic range. Okay. And again, I mentioned wide dynamic range, and I mentioned AI-based analytics. And the reason why I mentioned first wide dynamic range, because, and again, let me enforce this, the raw material for any analysis can be based on AI or not, is a good quality image. If you have a, sorry to say, a crappy image, you cannot process anything. Doesn't matter if you have the best algorithm in the world, it's not gonna be useful at all. So right now, for example, and just let me give you some example that we can do right now through Hanwha Techwin, is the normal facial detection that is embedded on or most of our cameras from P series, X series, Q series. I will go through any series later. Capacity control, which is quite important right now, and moreover that eventually will be going back to normality, hopefully at the middle of the year. And we can right now do several stuff like, let me see, click it, there you go. Like, for example, inside a camera, you can run an algorithm that we call the occupancy app directly in the camera, either using a traditional camera and traditional analytics. And as you see, you can basically count how many people enter or go outside of a place, just to maintain the occupancy that is basically mandatory in this case in the bank. Okay, can be normal, can be AI based. It depends of the camera, and it depends up to you on the investment that you want to do. Besides that, and this is again, we basically we're a little bit further about that, but this is an extra precaution, a measurement that we have using one of the products, which is the thermal of the dual spectrum camera, which is a camera that do normal video, but also integrates temperature measurements for any entrance, for any access. This is one of the extra measurements that we have for make sure that we can be as free as possible against COVID. So we launched actually that camera at the end of last year, and can be very useful for this specific vertical. Again, I'm not gonna play the whole videos just because you can play it later. Congestion management, which is kind of related to the capacity management control, because basically on the occupancy and the capacity, you can either run analytics on the camera or outside the camera. This is basically with a third party called AI Tech, which can give you like the crowd detection of a specific area, and to see how close or how far people are, if they are abiding or not the social distancing. Can be useful for queue management, for line management. Can be useful for cafeterias, for example, in certain place. For banking, is very obvious. For line management, is something that you can use to enforce people to really abide the social distancing part. And obviously, this is one of the solution that we launched for the COVID, which is the facial mask detection that is basically triggered by artificial intelligence and can be used either directly on the cameras who run artificial intelligence from Hanwha directly, or in cameras that you, and this is very important, guys, cameras that you already have installed for the X series, already deployed. And I enforce this part because obviously for the COVID, people are hesitating to do huge investment. We have an application that can be installed in those cameras and convert that, let's say, that simple camera that doesn't have AI capabilities to detect wearing a facial mask or not. You install that application, and basically that camera can detect directly if you're wearing a mask or not, and do another actions related to that. Okay. Okay, let me go through this. Got it. So let's talk a little bit about counting and customer experience, which is related to what I also mentioned before. And this is one of the best seller that we have in banking is the 360 camera. Moreover, because currently our line now are very, very strong cameras that go above 8 megapixels to 12 megapixels. Technically, this is 4K. The beauty about the fish eye camera is basically with one, and the concept is very simple, but with just one camera, you can cover a great area without having the hustle of the installation. So this is a extremely useful camera to foresee and to oversee or have all the situational awareness with just one device. Besides that, can give you the ability to do people counting directly in the camera, handle the heat map part, and the queue management, as I mentioned before. So again, challenging times where we need to strongly enforce the responsibility of people to maintain the social distancing, to avoid crowd areas, to basically do whatever is needed in order to get back to normality until we get all vaccinated or have that herd immunity that everyone is talking. Well, the reason why we're strongly enforcing analytics on the camera is first because the current situation, but in general, after the COVID, you can also use this information for example, see why in this specific area in the bank, let's say the lobby, we have a lot of people congregated for X amount of time because maybe we are not giving the right amount of attention that they deserve, or because maybe that specific branch is too small for the amount of people that we have at certain time of the day. So that goes beyond of the simple video, but goes more to a forensic type of analysis, but not in terms of surveillance, but more in the marketing and operation that you can do with the cameras. And again, more videos in the other video. You can see more about the heat mapping. Let me just go forward here somewhere. So for example, here you can see heat maps and see, well, in this area, obviously in the entrance, you have a lot of conglomeration because people enter for there. And after that, you can analyze how many people do I have in X amount of time. This is obviously a retail or a convenience store, but also you can apply the same concept for a bank. So remember what I told you at the beginning, guys. The beauty about banks is they are still not completely migrate to IP. So there's a huge opportunity to get there, but they have some concerns: cybersecurity, the budgeting part, the price, and the usability of whatever they're gonna migrate. So I'm giving you right now all the tools that I think are very attractive or appealing to them in order to do that leap of faith, that jump that they need in order to move forward. Okay. Let me just boom. There you go. Are you guys okay following the presentation? I know I left the question to the end, but just in case you miss me, I'm talking too fast because I tend to talk too fast. Also, I'm drinking a little bit of water. And again, extra stuff that are not directly related to video, but to the device that you guys can install on a bank. I talk about AI a lot, but now let's talk about audio. Many of the cameras that we use for bank can have the feature of audio analytics. And
motion detected at the front door.
Sorry, let me shut up my Alexa.
Motion detected.
Shut up, Alexa. Okay, thank you. And one of the most simplistic audio analytic is basically trigger any previous record audio when you enter to an area. And trust me, sounds kind of silly, but it's very useful because several banks actually, and this is real cases, use this feature to give welcome to anyone who is entering a bank and say, welcome to, I don't know, Bank of America branch X, Y, and Z, and please be seated over here, something like that. Instead of having one person. So you are giving to your customer the sense that they are first overwatching, but they are also being over welcoming, right? So this is very useful. And besides that, in some, and this is Latin America, in some ATMs, this feature is also used for ATMs that are outside of the branch, just to tell the customer, hello, you are being watched by a CCTV system. Be safe or feel safe to do your transaction here, something like that. Okay, so this is very simple but powerful tool that we can offer to a bank. And the other one, this is more for, let's say, extreme situations. We have analytics that can be triggered by several factors. And you can either configure or there are pre-configured depending of, let me put it over here, depending on the situation. And one of the situation is gunshots. The other one is explosions. The other one is screams. And the other one is breaking glass. And something in between, because as I mentioned before, you can train the camera and you can basically do a small field assessment on the side to see, well, what is the levels of noise that normally this bank have, and then try to simulate any situation to basically tailor-make the analytics that I'm talking about audio. And those analytics, as you see, well, those are for situations where something that is out of the normality is happening, right? Gunshots, screams, breaking glass normally occurs when a bank has been robbed, or something wrong is happening in the bank. So can be used like a pre-trigger panic alarm, silence panic alarm to some cases. The only thing that I have to mention here, you have to double check with your current regulation in your countries if that is possible or not, because several banks and several countries have different regulation for audio analysis. And intrusions, which is kind of simple, but again, in some countries, you cannot, for example, park on a car in front of the bank because whatever reason it is, because safety, because normally you have those catch trucks that normally park there. So obviously the camera is able, or the cameras that we are mentioning here are able to oversee the situation and give you an alert automatically to see, well, this car has been loitering or has been parked here for more than X amount of time. And if you add artificial intelligence, well, the camera alone can give you not just that situation, but also give you information about the type of vehicle, the color, and give you a small screenshot about the plate. So this is basically additional stuff that you are doing just with the cameras. And guys, as right now, I haven't mentioned any VMS or software talking about mainly about what the camera is capable of. And queue management, I think I already mentioned a little bit about this, but it's queue, right? How to manage lines in the best way possible to avoid overcrowding situation. Right now, what you're seeing over here is basically a camera that is facing downwards, because that was the traditional approach to do queue management or line management. But also with the new AI-based cameras, you don't need to place the camera in that way, because if the camera is just located in the normal video type of view, no facing down but facing the whole scene, because the capability of the camera to recognize person, basically they can recognize persons and do that queue analysis alone without the need to be installed from above to below. So this is one of the advantage, because normally this type of camera just focus on queue management, was just used for that and for nothing more. So right now you can do whatever you want with that camera. Whole surveillance, and this is a particular solution, a particular camera that, yes, actually this camera sells a lot here in the US for bankings, because the configuration of the camera, you have to, let me go back, you have to see the camera, how it looks like. When I have it over here, and if you see, basically this camera is a dual camera, right? And it's a beautiful camera to be placed on a hole, with a kind of a L shape, to see two different areas without having to install two different cables. So the unique selling point here is the installation constraints, using just one camera instead of two. And basically it's a very pragmatic camera that I mentioned here, because for banking, trust me, is one of the highest seller, just because that feature is a pure installation selling point that I'm showing you with this camera, the P&M 7000 VD. And I want to mention, but also, and this is something to remember, because at the beginning I told you that, yes, people who normally work in banks knows that the money is not easy to get, right? And that's the reason why they are doing banking, right? And they tend to be, let's say, conservative in terms of how they invest their money. Trust me, a lot of them, they are not as loose as they supposed to be in terms of technology. And there's one of the reasons why still there are a lot of deployment, a lot, not just in Latin America, but still in North America, that still are using standard definition cameras plus analog cable deployment with coaxial. But this is good, right? And this is good for us, because we have a particular series that we call the Q series of camera, which are the ones who basically start to have basic video analysis, as we see, including intrusion zones, loitering, virtual line, among others, that can give you the right price for banking with the extra mile with the analysis that I was talking before. So the Q series, I will say, is the way to go. for banking. And it's important that you know that we have a specific lineup that fits quite nice for this vertical. So Q series have cameras that goes vandal resistant, indoor, non-vandal resistant, outdoor cameras, bullet, fisheye type of camera. So it's a very broad series that the banks, I think, will be appreciated. Okay. Volts. Well, it's funny because I just mentioned that sometimes the bank market is kind of stingy. Sorry to say, but yes, it is, and that's I honestly understand why. But in the Volt area, when they basically migrate, basically the Volt area, normally they have the best of the best in terms of security, including in cameras. So when you go to the Volt, obviously is where you have the money and you have your all your assets in the banks. Well, beside the person that are etc. etc. So there, banks want to invest whatever is necessary in order to keep track of the Volt, and that's the reason why I'm highlighting the Western 7, which is our latest chip that not just allow us to run artificial intelligence, but have all the features related to video. I don't want to go to all the verticals, but the reason why I'm over here is I'm just showing some of the this is the video that was looking, some of the cameras, and saying 4K here. Why? As I mentioned before, and just saying some of the models. There are more, but 4K is one of the good reasons to sell 4K to a bank, even though this video is not for a bank, but it's because of resolution. And again, you need to track whatever it happens in the Volt at any time at the best resolution possible. So this micro segment inside this vertical, which is the Volt, is where you as an integrator can easily feel free and comfortable to offer to your bank customer 4K resolution. And besides that, 4K resolution with artificial intelligence to automatically see if in the bank what person enters in terms of the demographic. Is a male, is a female, what is the color of the dress that he was wearing in the top of the bottom, he was having a beard or not, he was using glasses or not, he was using a hat or not, he was carrying a bag or not. Well, this part specifically on the bank is where people are no longer stingy. They are willing to invest. And what better investment here that goes a full way with 4K. What about monitoring centers? Okay, and here is the first time that I mention VMS. And obviously gonna mention our VMS, which is a lightweight VMS. It's called Wave, actually. Why is it Wave? And one of the beauty about Wave, as I mentioned before, is very lightweight, which means you don't need a very powerful GPU to run the cameras, but basically a simple server would have the capability of Intel Sync to decode information, and is obviously by default compatible with all our cameras plus third-party cameras, but obviously we prefer to have our cameras, honestly. And the important part here is the transition between, let's say, the traditional wave of video security. The wave is going to be very simple because this VMS, compared with others that maybe offer a little bit further additions, this simplistic look and feel and feature centered on the simplicity makes the transition for bankings to be almost natural. Besides that, remember, and I didn't mention, we do have sorry, I press here. We do have MBRs and hybrid, let's say hybrid MBRs, which is basically analog and IP recorders, which is the way to go normally in the banks, where normally in a bank you don't have a server per se, but you have a DVR or a MVR. So using our MVR hybrid MVR, we can have the centralized management on site with those devices, with the MVRs on site, but also we can orchestrate from a central point all the information of the different branches in just one central part, one central organization using Wave, using a small licenses called Wave Embedded, which allows you to see whatever is happening in the MBR remotely, right? And the beauty also, because if you are migrating to something new, well, you need to see where are the new addition that you are getting that maybe you don't have it before. Like obviously this Wave, you can either go using server or MBR or combines. You have obviously the mobile application and now you have the mobile notification when some alarms that you predefined occurs. Is automatically synchronized through Wave. And if you want, you can also have this backup on the cloud that we call Wave Sync. Very important thing is like the transcoding that Wave is capable of. And remember that I mentioned one of the constraints or the challenges that we are facing in banks is the transmission and the bandwidth. Well, the beauty about this is, yes, normally you have in your branch, well, you can control the bandwidth normally. But when you want to centralize information in one place, you always have those bottlenecks that makes the transmission to a central orchestrating entity like the main brand of the banks quite challenging. But the transcodification, the transcoding that a Wave handle natively basically reduce the cost of integration and the bandwidth that we use working directly with Wave. We have a special algorithm that basically handle automatically and detect the bandwidth available in that moment and compress whatever you have to compress and send it to the central entity. So this is very good. So you don't have that hiccups that you normally face when you don't have the control of the bandwidth. Let me see, 11:42, yes. I'm gonna have a very healthy 5 minutes of questions if you guys want. So parking lots. And again, depends on the type of banks, but also we have several solutions. I'm going back to here cameras, but also the VMS. Cameras that do things related to parking lots. The first one is we do have currently one camera that do age-based analytics LPR inside the camera, meaning if you can run it, just the camera per se can basically activate or deactivate an output to open a barrier if you want. But also if you obviously, and this is the way to go, if you want to combine this with a lock on the VMS, you can give access to the people that work for the bank, or even better, you can do something that is normal here in the US. You can do like this walk-through car appointment or drive-through. Doesn't it? Drive-through appointments to a bank to have an appointment with your advisor of the bank. Through your car in this small kiosk that they have, and basically they identify that you is you based on the plate that you have in your car. So this is one of the ways. Also because the analytic, you can also do wrong way, and this is mostly in banks to detect a possible attempt of doing something that is not normal. And this is directly on the camera, and the camera detect like a wrong turn or wrong direction detection, and is again in the camera. But this is, and let me just focus on this because I like this part. this is where we start to talk about artificial intelligence. And when I say demographic, I just focus my whole speech. Well, let me go further because it's the fabrication of, where is the analytic part? Here. I base my whole speech of demographic about people, but you can do analysis. Oh, I think I got that one video. I'll show you another video, but this is not the video. Anyways, I have it later. But in the car classification, we have cameras that basically classify cars in different type of cars, which basically are normal car, SUVs, motorcycle, bicycles, and you can have track of whatever you want to track in front of your bank and do classification, and it can be combined for extra services that you can do, or basically to detect that for whatever reason a robbery occurs and you know the people that are just leaving the place are in a wreck SUV, so you can identify, do forensic analysis and pass that information to any entity that is working on that. So this is very important. And also for parking, but in general for big areas, and some banks have it, some banks no. We do enforce in the sense the use of multi-sensor. Right now I'm talking about parks, but also the multi-sensor applies to the one that I just showed, the PNM 7000 BQ, because in banks, and again, this is the investment. If you have just one point of installation, meaning you have just one IP address, you're gonna have to pay less for the registration of that address in any VMS, not just in our VMS, but in any other VMS. But also the usability of a multi-sensor is better for a bank, because traditionally, because it's a parking lot or it's a big area, but not as big area as a city, you don't need to go too further as a traditional PTC. And the good part of multi-sensor is you don't lose the whole picture, because you have sensors that are basically in charge of surrounding the area and see what is happening around the, let's say, the small area. And maybe if you need a PTC, well, we have multi-sensor that have in the middle of PTC in case you need it. And here I'm doing the comparison between the traditional PTC and our multi-sensor, where we think we beat the PTC. Specifically for this vertical, I think it's more useful a multi-sensor in the sense, right? ATMs. Let me go very fast over here. In ATMs, well, there's as I mentioned before, there's several ways to tackle the ATM part. And one of the things that we normally enforce directly with the hybrid MVRs is the addition of the point of sales and how to track the transactions that we register from the ATM. Basically, overimpose that transaction to any video footage, and we're doing our friends from Lantronics to do the media transformation from normally that goes to serial communication to IP. Lantronics have a device to do that, and we trap that communication, and we again overimpose that and basically do the transaction, not just in ATMs, but also can be on the cashier area for whatever transaction they are doing with their machines. And we can record that and have the evidence of what is happening using that. And I mentioned WBN in Colombia because this is one of the customers who allow us to share the information with you that they are using that. And this is a real case scenario happening right now. Very important also for ATMs is we do have two versions right now of what we call, this camera that you see over here is a camera that has just one head. And normally that camera goes on an ATM, and this is the camera where you can basically see what is happening in the ATM. Is something wrong or suspicious is happening? Well, you have the evidence with this pinhole type of camera, and this one is just one head. But more and more, we are seeing the trend of having several ATMs in a same place, in one location. Here in the US, it's very common that you have at least 2 or 3, normally 4 ATMs. So we came up with the same form factor that you see over here, but instead of having just one camera, we can have up to 4 cameras at the same time and play with different angles. Because sometimes, yes, you have two ATMs and you want to see the transaction and see the people or the person who is doing the transaction, but also you want to, with the same box, see what is happening outside and what is happening in the surroundings. So this is a very new, convenient way of using a pinhole. It's specifically designed for ATMs, but also I didn't put any slide for that. But in the trucks that transport money, I don't know how to say in English, that the value transportation trucks like the Brings or the Prosegur type of cars, they do use these pinholes inside the let's say the mobile bulb, in order to track whatever is happening in the bulb, but also whatever is happening in the front, whatever is happening outside the car. Okay, so it's quite important. AI, well, guys, I talk a lot about AI, and let me just reinforce that we have a hefty and very fertile lineup that is based on AI. I'm not going to bore you guys because actually I just have 9 minutes, but as you see, we are very serious about AI and about the usability of AI, and the banking market is not deception. So I don't know. Let me see if I can find the video that I was looking for before, but I don't know. No, this is just a slice. But as you see, AI is the trend, and with AI, we are just beginning with what AI is capable. We are just detecting situations, but then the camera will be able not just to detect, but also to take autonomous decision. What we call the situational awareness based on AI, where the camera can learn of situation and can give you advices of what is happening or what will be happening. I know it's frightening, but is the future. Andrew, I'm gonna answer your question at the end. Just 2 more slides. Don't worry. And here somewhere is the video, but let me move very forward. There you go. This is the video that I think I was looking at the beginning, and this is a real situation of forensic analysis using AI. And basically, as you see, this is the camera actually detecting face and detecting persons, and basically not caring about what is happening in the background. So for forensic analysis, you can use this feature to do, a lot of stuff, and do, as I mentioned before, situational awareness, or do, as I'm telling you right now, this digital auto tracking channel directly using AI. So if you have a person that is suspicious, so you just track and use this and say, please track this specific subject because it's a male with this type of clothes, etc., etc. So as you see, actually I don't know why it start here, because it's supposed to start here. This is directly in the camera. Yes, maybe this is not directly banned. This is maybe outside of a ban, but the idea behind this is you can track situational awareness using AI. In this case, gender, age range, type of clothes, what is wearing on the face, and what is having something on his hand. And the beauty about that is we can add several new features if needed, because one of the new things that actually isn't on-beef profiles T is we have like several attributes that are kind of open in the sense that you can add as many as you need. And right now we can do mass wearing, but later we can do more stuff than just mass wearing, like helmet detection for specific approaches, or the whole idea is this is growing and growing. Let me start with the cybersecurity part. It's gonna be very, very straightforward. All our cameras are off being compatible, profile S, some G and T. We do enforce the cybersecurity part. We have TTA, publicly certified IP public protection, and we do have are authorized, as I mentioned at the beginning, by the NDAA to run over U.S. government systems. So for projects that, for example, you guys, if you work for Puerto Rico and have funds with FEMA, if you don't have this certification, you cannot use those funds because are federal, right? And besides that, and I force you to see this video about the 7 concerns and 7 solutions that we offer as this in terms of cybersecurity. There's a lot. I mean, these are more than 5 minutes. Explain very straightforward. Let me see if I have it over here. No. The new additions that we have in terms of cybersecurity, like the secure authentication, like the JTAG encryption, programming port that we have internally, like the real-time stream protocol that is secure, transmit over the network. We do have, and actually in the video say just 7, but if you go deeper, and actually this is just for a presentation alone, you can find out that we do care about cybersecurity a lot. So I'm gonna share this, and you can go very in detail about the cybersecurity part. I don't know why I left it to the end because it's quite important. So you guys, I think we are pretty much done. I don't want to bore you with my soloist presentation over here. It was a pleasure to be here with you guys.